You are watching Park TV. Welcome to Monadnock Tonight with your host, Steve Jackson, coming to you live from the studios of the Park Theater in downtown Jaffrey, New Hampshire. Join Steve and his guest today, Republican New Hampshire State Representative primary candidate, Frank Sterling. Now sit back, relax, and here's Steve.
Well. Hello, friends, and good to see you on this Tuesday, August 25th, 2020. And welcome to Park TV and the Park Theater's Monadnock Tonight. It's about 5 p.m. here on the East Coast, and it is this is show number 44, Lucky 44. And yes, I am Steve Jackson, the CEO of the Park Theater. And we are very glad, as we are every time we have our show, that you are with us, whether you are watching us live or whether you're watching us on a encore through on demand on YouTube or on Facebook. So good you're here. Today we continue our political focus of Monadnock Tonight. And we will have one of the candidates running for the Republican primary for the New Hampshire State Representative. But first, a couple of notes of things going on. First, kind of newsy thing. Starting on September 3rd, we are going to go to one time a week. We've been doing Tuesdays and Thursdays since March 24th. But we're going to go to Thursdays exclusively, still at 5 p.m. But attached to that news is that we are adding a new program to Park TV. And we have been developing a new show that is 100% music-based and features young singers, songwriters, musicians, bands, even DJs, high school, college, young adult. And the name of the show is called Route 124 Bandstand. And this show is actually, it's pre-taped because we've heard, Zoom is not very kind to a lot of, to the quality of audio, especially singing and instruments. For speech, it's pretty good. Talking back and forth, not bad. But so we're going to be recording these. We've already been in production of a couple of them. They are being filmed at the bandstand, gazebo, across the street from the Park Theater on the Common, right here in downtown Jaffrey. And the show is hosted and produced by our intern, Andrea Cornelius. And the show will be, we will announce these because they're taped. We'll announce when we release a new one through the various media and email and Facebook postings and so forth. But we will debut the first show on next Tuesday's Monadnock Tonight program. So September 1st at 5 p.m., you will see the first Route 124 bandstand. And so join us that night. And it's going to be lots of fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. We also, if you know any young high school, college, young adult performers, musicians, songwriters, please have them contact us here. We'd love to be able to talk to them about possibly being on the program. And because we're reaching out to the schools, recording studios, a lot of different places. You'll see our email at the end of the show. If you would like to contact us, I'll mention it right now, is parktv@theparktheater.org. parktv@theparktheater.org. But we think you're going to love Route 124. It's going to be a lot of fun. With a lot of new young music. And I think you'll you'll get a kick out of it. And with Andrea hosting, and there's performance as well as interview with the singer, songwriter, musicians. And that is that. And also, I wanted to know there are, I like to remind everyone, there are dozens of free Park Pix Flicks films available in our library of curated films that you can go to theparktheater.org. And in the upper right corner of the homepage, you're going to see a little navigation bar thing that says free films. And just click on that and you'll see all the ones that we have. And there are dozens of them. The newest one being this classic from Great Britain with a very young Richard Harris called This Sporting Life. As you see there, won Best Picture for 1963 from the International Film Critics Society. At the Cannes Film Festival, Richard Harris won Best Actor. It was his big breakthrough. But there are many others, comedies, horror, animation, what have you. But I think you'll have some good entertainment, and it's free. We curate them for you, find them, and put them up there. So stop on over to go to theparktheater.org and look for free movies. All right. Now, let's introduce our only guest today. His name is Frank Sterling, and he is no stranger to many of you in our audience. He's a Jaffrey native. Frank graduated from Conant High School in 1967. He attended UNH from 67 to 69, served 2 years military service as a corpsman. He worked in the building material industry most of his working life. After retirement, he became active in real estate business. He's a longtime member of the VFW and Masonic Charity Lodge, and has been involved in politics. He was elected to the state legislature 4 times, 2008 to 2012 and 2014 to 2018. He's also been elected to the Jaffrey Selectmen 6 times since 1987. Today, Frank is running for the Republican primary to be the Republican candidate for the New Hampshire state representative. And so we are going to bring Frank onto the show through the miracle of the internet. And there's Frank.
Hi.
Hi, Frank. Welcome.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
So glad you are here. And as I said in the introduction, Frank, I think a lot of people in our audience know you because you're a very visible guy, and certainly in not only in certainly in Jaffrey, but all around. And I think that's a good visibility for the things that you've done on behalf of our town and the service that you've done on behalf of our town. But as I do with every guest, I love to probe a little bit more before we get into the politics of things and why you're running, a little bit more about you, just to get to know you a little bit better for our audience. Now, we were talking before the show, you are an Army corpsman.
Correct.
And how, if you can explain that to our audience, because they may not know, and just to talk to you, talk a little bit about your service.
Well, an Army corpsman is typically what you hear of when someone gets hurt on the battlefield. They'll yell for medic, and that's what an Army corpsman is. Basically, my designation was a combat medic, but I actually never saw combat. I was stationed in a small dispensary in South Korea, very close to the DMZ. In fact, we were about from here to Keene. Away from the DMZ. Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. Actually, one of the most exciting things that had happened in the year, I served there for 13 months. One of the most exciting things that happened was a North Korean pilot decided to defect, and he brought and landed his MiG on our airstrip, which he just about made because it wasn't made for jet fighters. It was made for helicopters and small fixed prop aircraft. Well, that was a pretty exciting day, as you can imagine.
Certainly, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. But I spent most of my time actually working, like I said, in a small dispensary, my primary duties was I was the post pharmacist. Uh, People on sick call, soldiers coming in on sick call, would go through the process, and if they had a prescription or something they needed to get filled, they would come and see me, and I would fill the prescriptions or their over-the-counter drugs.
Now, I know, as I've talked over your bio, you certainly didn't continue in the field of being a pharmacist.
No,
That was not something that was in your sights long term.
No, it wasn't. It was good duty when I had it.
Yeah. Well. Thank you for giving us that information, Frank, and of course, thank you for your service. Then you talk about that you were, most of your working years, you were in the building materials industry. Now, what area of that were you in?
Oh gosh. Well, I basically started out working for Beltates. Rental Beltate hired me as an outside salesperson, and then I had a number of positions there. I think I was there about 16 years. And then I moved on to from the retail side to the wholesale side. I was hired by a nationwide two-step supply person. Two-step means they buy from a manufacturer, the wholesaler takes it and then redistributes it to independent and or larger chain hardware lumber yards. So I did purchasing. I did a lot of things for Beltates. I did inside sales, outside sales, purchasing, floor coverings, design kitchens. I did a lot of things. And then wholesale, I worked for one company. It was based out of Bedford at the time. They got absorbed by another company. It was, and we had an opportunity to relocate to Alpharetta, Georgia, which we were going to do, but we were unable to sell our house at the time, and that actually worked out good because they got absorbed by another company, Huddig, who was still around, and they are based out of St. Louis. And we had an opportunity to move there, which we declined. Now, I worked for them from my home for a number of years, actually. And after a time, we separated companies, and I went to work for another wholesale company in Massachusetts. And then the last place I worked went back to retail for Mackey Building Products out of Lunenburg, Gardner, and Sterling, Massachusetts. So, and again, I did a lot of things for those people too.
And but you after retirement, you took a turn to enter public service. First with being a selectman in our town of Jaffrey in 1987.
Yeah.
And then moved on to your terms in the state legislature.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would like to know. I mean, not everybody takes that turn
No.
for varying rationales, but I love to know, and I think our audience would like to know what motivated you to say I'd like to get into helping craft how things are managed and what are the important things that are for our communities.
Well, I made a mistake one night of going to one of the zoning board of adjustment meetings. I forget what the issue was actually right now, but and I spoke up, and after the meeting was over, or several days afterwards, I was invited to join. So I did. So I became a member of the zoning board, and eventually chairperson. And about the same time, there was a lively debate in Jaffrey about whether the select people needed help managing the town affairs. So there was a debate about whether we should go to a town manager, which is one facet of it, or to go with a town manager. Well, Jaffrey decided to go with the town manager, and they had it on the ballot. And again, being shy and retiring, I couldn't keep my mouth shut, and I was very vocal in my support of that. And after the town adopted that in 1986, I think it was, and then 1987, there was an opening on the select board, and I decided to run for that. and I found I liked it, and I found
Yeah.
out I was actually fairly good at it. So I did one term. I had 4 small children at the time, and they were getting to the age where they were involved in a bunch of things from school and sports and whatnot. So I took some time off. So from 1990 to 2000, I was actually out of office, no public office. And I was invited in 2000 to come back to the board. They had a resignation. And so I stayed for 9 years. And then I took a couple more years off. And then I've been back for now, it's going on 5 years. So all told, I've served for 18 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I find I really enjoy the work. If you like solving problems, being a select person is a good place to be.
Yeah.
It's interesting work. There's a lot of different parts and pieces to town government. It's not just budgets or selectmen's meetings. Well, there's personnel issues, there's road issues, there's water and sewer, parks and rec. The list is almost endless, and there's always something going on coming up to be addressed. And I, like I said, I enjoy that kind of work, and it keeps my brain active as well. So
Yeah, I bet.
yeah,
Sometimes more than you want it to probably be.
yeah, a few sleepless nights.
How about moving broader as you moved up to state legislation issues?
Well, that goes back way back. When I was younger, I had a cousin who, David Sterling, who was from Hillsborough, and he got interested in it, and he became a member of the state legislature. And David was quite a character, and he was a very good person. He was unfortunately killed in an automobile accident.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was terrible. But he got me kind of interested in it. I was kicking the idea around at one point, and I decided I was 62, and I said, well, let's give it a try. And I was successful. That's when the district was Rindge, Jaffrey, and Dublin. And I got to the State House, and I got myself on the Municipal and County Government Committee, which handles, as the name would imply, most of the legislation that has to do with how cities and towns are run, how counties are run. It also does all of the zoning legislation and the like. If you know, New Hampshire is not a home rule state. Cities and towns can only do what the legislature tells them they can do, or give them permission to do. So we get a lot of requests there to expand the scope of what the municipalities can do. And that's interesting too, whether it's a good fit or not a good fit. We deal with a lot of the issues that face the counties, revenue-wise, not so much revenue-wise, but how they can raise revenue. So it's interesting. And again, I found I was fairly proficient at it, reading bills and seeing how they fit into existing legislation and how the legislation can be changed. So it's again, it's a very interesting process. And when the House is in session, it's very good theater.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But let's take us up to 2020. Why are you running this time, Frank?
Well, I got concerned when the virus came along that, and this happened actually in my first 2 terms, when we had in 2008, when we had the big economic downturn, how the state was going to fund its duties and responsibilities in all areas, from human services to highways, how we were going to fund those. And I think we're going to be, in fact, I'm confident we're going to be faced with an even more difficult task this time around because of the virus.
Yeah.
state revenues are declining because mostly rooms and meals tax, business profits, and business enterprise taxes are running slightly behind, and I think Governor Sununu has forecasted, or his budget people have forecasted, there could be as much as a $300 to $500 million shortfall in the current budget, which ends June 30th in 2021.
Yeah.
How we're going to address that is going to be a major undertaking, and
it's certainly
yeah.
It's an issue many states are going through right now in terms of.
Yeah.
And what is your opinion on the federal assistance to states?
Well, right now, all the assistance that the states are getting is directed, focused at the under the CARES Act, and it's limited to that assistance that's coming to the cities and towns and states is designated to be just for the virus impact on towns. If we extra cleaning supplies, whatever we have to do for upcoming elections to make sure that when people go in to vote, that the voting booths are clean.
Right.
A lot of that is paid for out of the CARES Act from the federal government to the states down to the towns. In fact, at last night's select board meeting, we accepted a grant. I think it was close to $12,000, specifically for defraying the extra costs at the upcoming September primary and then in November general election.
Yeah. But it certainly is one of the issues that you see that you would like to be involved with and assist. Is this the shortfall that is most likely going to happen in terms of, as a result of COVID, that we do not have all the funds that we really need? No,
we're not. And I joined the Governor Sununu in imploring the federal government, if they're going to pass some more legislation to help, that they direct it to the budget shortfalls that the income shortfalls are going to be a result of, and how we're going to address that. I would, and really the federal legislature needs to come up with some type of assistance for the cities and towns and the states that can be directed to the cities and towns, so that whatever shortfall the state has, we don't have to be looking for new revenue sources, and the towns where they can make it up for the state assistance that we're not getting from the state. It doesn't take anybody any real deep thought to realize that rooms and meals taxes, part of which comes back to the towns, is going to be probably significantly lower in the coming year than it has been.
Yeah, so, that's a natural. Yeah. One of the other issues that you've identified is individual liberties and freedoms. If you could chat about that for a minute or so, Frank.
Certainly. Us independent Yankees, we cherish our individuality and our individual rights, from free speech all the way down through the first 10 amendments. Sometimes I slip and say commandments, but 10 amendments.
Yeah.
But, in today's world, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, Steve, it's so easy for people to glean information off of the web, either off of, social media pages or your Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts or whatever, that we really need to be very cognizant of the fact of what we're putting out there and how it's regulated and who gets to use it. If you use your telephone and it can track your movements. If you go on the web, it can see what you're looking at, what you're searching for. If you're looking for a particular product, I use the web to find a new car. I'm still getting emails and queries as to whether I want to buy this or that car.
Oh yeah, that'll never, Frank. That will never go away.
No, it doesn't.
You will get. You want to buy a new Dodge? Emails for 20 years, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking. A friend of mine has a used set of golf clubs he wants to sell, and so I went out looking at those to see what they might be worth. And now I'm getting inundated with golf club sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's important, and I think everybody should be very concerned about that. It's a good thing to have our public lives, but I think we need to be sure that we can check the public at the door and have our private lives and keep it private.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. We need to protect information and certainly we need to be told if we are being followed by little breadcrumbs that we leave on the web. We should know whether maybe we don't want to leave those breadcrumbs, and we should have a switch that tells us no. Don't pick them up because I'm not leaving them. But that's a major issue for everyone. Another one you've talked about is the Family Leave Act, Frank.
Well, that's one that's come up several times over the last several years. There have been a couple of different proposals put out. The governor had put forward a proposal. The state legislature decided not to adopt that one, but they did adopt a Family Leave Act, which resulted in the governor, I think, has vetoed it. If he hasn't already, he's planning on it. But the thing is that there was no way to opt out. It was you're in, and your wages are going to be taxed to support this, whether you wanted to or not. The governor's plan, I think, was, and I think that is just a continuation of the creep of the state and federal governments taking control of our lives and making decisions for us. I think we can, as individuals, and for the most part, make our decisions for ourselves and our families on our own without the help of the government. The cliche is it's nanny government, that they tell you when to get up, they tell you when to go to work, they tell you what to buy, they tell you how to dress, all those things. And it's creeping, and it continues to creep. And I think at some point we have to say no. And I think the Family Leave Act is probably just the most outstanding object of that type of thinking and that type of legislation. And I don't agree with that. If you want to get family leave protection, there are private insurance companies out there now. We don't need the governor's program. We don't need the new Family Leave Act. You can go out and buy that insurance for yourself. But that's an individual decision, and again, it goes back to being, our individuality.
All right. And the other area you were looking into was the automatic business profits tax.
Oh, well, yeah. My last term, we in the state legislature, in the budget we adopted, we reduced the business profit tax by a small percentage, and it also had a de-escalation clause where it would drop down again if certain conditions were met. If the revenue is held up from the new tax rate, and they did. In fact, they more than did. So the second cut was instituted. When the new budget was passed, this current budget, they wanted to increase it. They increase the business profits tax. And this is not the time to be increasing taxes on businesses. Businesses are having enough trouble staying afloat as it is. And the other thing is, businesses need a certain amount of stability. They need to be able to do long-range planning. If the tax rate keeps bouncing up and down, who knows how much they're going to end up any given quarter or year having to pay, and they can't make long-range plans. If you budget for a 0.75 business profit tax percentage, and it goes up to 0.8, well, you need to take the revenue from your profits, from your profits, from your revenues, and pay that in taxes rather than hiring a new person, or buying a new piece of machinery, or expanding the physical footprint of your business, or if you're a tradesperson, buying a new van because it's more reliable. All those decisions are difficult to make if the taxes are fluctuating from year to year, from budget cycle to budget cycle. So I firmly believe that where they are right now, they're adequate. The state is still receiving more funding now than before before the virus, but they were receiving more before, more revenue from the existing rate than they were from the previous rate. So that must have spurred some businesses somewhere to improve, and they increased their profits. So, and that's a good thing.
And if they're able to hire people, that's a very
exactly.
Good
if they get busy enough, they can hire more people and they expand. And small businesses are really the mainstay of our state and actually country's economy.
Yeah. Well, just sometimes you get a sense that big business gets more of a free ride. And but the little small business gets left behind.
Exactly.
And I think a more focus and spotlight on small businesses, and certainly at this point, rather than a huge bailout of another airline. But
that's why they call it capitalism, Steve. Some businesses succeed and some businesses fail, and we have up and down cycles. I don't think anybody's not going to be able to get home for Thanksgiving or Christmas because American or United or whatever, one of those airlines, no longer exists.
Yeah. Well, the only issue when they don't exist, I mean, we get back down to the jobs at the lower level.
Exactly.
That they have 20,000, 50,000 employees, and they're all looking for a job, and that's not great.
Yeah.
But so there's always, as with everything, there's got to be balance. Well, Frank, the big day is coming up for District 14 on September 8th, at least on the Republican side of things. And anything else you'd like to summarize or say to the audience, as I'm sure as many folks are filling out their ballots right now, and either mailing them or dropping them directly off at their clerk's office.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I would urge you, if you do not feel comfortable going to the polls, to please get an absentee ballot. Primary elections, generally they are thought of as being staid and not terribly important. A lot of times there are no opponents. There's only one person running for a particular seat. In this particular case, that's not true. I do have an opponent, a nice young man from Renge, who thought he'd like to get interested in this and decided he'd run. And I would just urge people to look at my record, to see what I have been able to accomplish, what I stand for, and how I make decisions. I think I've made a number of very good decisions along the way. There might be a couple of clunkers in there, but that's okay.
You're honest.
Well, hey, we're not infallible. None of us are.
Right.
But it's something that I really love doing, and it's something I think I'm pretty good at. So I would urge people to please look at my record, make a decision, vote either by absentee ballot or come into the polls on September 8th and cast a vote. And I certainly would appreciate your vote.
Wonderful. Thank you, Frank. And Frank, if you'd like to contact Frank in terms of the issues that he's discussing and this evening, things to do with the upcoming race, we have Frank's email address, fwsterling@comcast.net. And Frank is open to take your questions, comments, any of the above. So you can contact Frank that way. Frank, it has been a pleasure to have you on. I appreciate it. I think we're going to be having all the candidates on to give them a time that they can state why they're running and the issues that they think are of the most importance right now, affecting our region, our state, our district. And we thank you for sharing those with us.
Well, I thank you very much for hosting with me and having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. And if I'm successful, let's get the two candidates, the Democrat and the Republican, together, and we can have a little chat with you.
We can have a little chat or a little, some sort of a chat, maybe even a debate.
Yeah, well, that's good too.
That's good too.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Frank, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it very much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Well, that's interesting. Frank, I tried to turn it off, but there it goes. Sometimes there's a lag as we're talking about connections, but well, that was wonderful, and hopefully you got a little bit more insight into candidate number 2. You had Andrew Manaval, who was on a couple of weeks ago, the Democratic candidate, who is, as Frank was talking about, is running unopposed. And then you've got Frank, who is in the primary, and one of our upcoming guests on September 3rd, I believe. Yes, Thursday, September 3rd, is Matthew Santonaz-Tasso. And Matthew, as Frank said, is from Ringe, and he's a new candidate, has not run, I don't believe, for public office before. But he will be here to do the same as Frank and Andrew have done, is to, we'll ask a few questions, but they'll tell us a little bit about themselves, why they're running, and the issues that they find important. And also, as Frank and I were talking about, when we get down to the Republican and the Democratic candidate, we hope to have a debate on Monadnock Tonight, hosted by someone from the press. So we'll stay tuned about that. This Thursday, August 27th, Monadnock Tonight will take a hiatus that day. But remember, please come back next Tuesday, September 1st, because you will see the debut of our new show, Route 124, as we debut it here on Monadnock Tonight. And so that's what's coming up in the near future. Would also like to tell you, as I said earlier in the show, if you need to contact us, if you've got an idea for a young performer of any genre of music, whether he or she's in high school or they're in college or recently graduated, we're trying to focus on that area of music. And just send an email to parktv@theparktheater.org, or you can call us at 532-9300 here at our administration office. And also, if you'd like to help underwrite the program, if you're a business, an organization, an individual, it's quite inexpensive, and it helps the Park Theater out in a huge, huge way. And also, as we're talking about issues of COVID and so forth with Frank today, we ask everyone to please be safe out there. Stay healthy. Be kind to everyone. Please be kind to everyone. And we've all got to be hopeful. And that gets us through. It's not easy, but it gets us through because we can do this. So again, this is Steve Jackson thanking Frank Sterling for being our guest today. And we will see you next Tuesday with the debut of Route 124. Bye, everybody.